Hey guys, it's Saria. Welcome back to my channel. So today's video is a collaboration with my friend Jessie over at Miss Cherry's channel. You guys probably know who Jessie is. She is like the unboxing queen and she's so sweet, she's so bubbly, she's so much fun. And if you guys aren't following her or you're not subscribed to her channel, please go do so because you're gonna love her. She's just so much fun to watch. She does tons of vlogs, DIYs, hauls, unboxings, all the stuff, and she's very consistent at posting and she posts multiple times a week, so she's winning at this game. So Jessie posted on her Instagram a while back that she did a mixed media art project based on the Pixar movie Soul. And I loved how she did it. She used like a bunch of creative materials to put it together. That's the fun part about mixed media, is that it's supposed to be more than just paint, if you will. You're kind of supposed to incorporate different ways of painting or using paint, and then also just different textures and different things. I think it's a really creative way of expressing yourself, and when you throw Disney into it, it's just even better. Now with that being said, I reached out to Jessie about maybe doing like, I don't remember actually if Jessie asked me or if I asked Jessie. Jessie, you'll have to remind me, I don't know. We talked to each other about doing a collab and we did decide to do Rapunzel themed because she had done a poll on her Instagram about like what movie she should do next. And I voted for Rapunzel, I remember this. So I was really excited she asked me to be a part of it. I will of course have her channel linked below so that you guys can go check out the art piece that she made, and this is going to be my tutorial on how I made mine. Now we both decided to go two different directions with this, and that's what made it so fun, is that even though we have the same movie as our inspiration, we took different components of it to create our piece. I have already filmed another one of these, so please let me know if you guys liked this video because I have another one pre-filmed, but I'm really not sure how this video is gonna do. So let me know if you guys liked this and if you want to see more art inspired by Disney movies. I really do love to paint and use different forms of art, so if that is something that interests you guys, I'll be sure to start incorporating it more on my channel. Without any more chit chat, let's jump into this tutorial. So starting off, I did pull up a reference photo for this because I knew I wanted to do Rapunzel herself. So I pulled up an image of her in profile position and I just tried to use that as a general guideline for what I was going to paint. I don't really have much like direction for you guys on this because I kind of just did my best. When something really bothered me, I obviously erased it and tried again. And then the biggest thing I would say is just make sure you're not pushing down too hard with your pencil because it's much harder to erase and you can puncture the canvas. So that was like her general head outline when I first got started, and then I just kind of tweaked from there. I don't really know if this was the right order to do things in, or if maybe I should have painted the background first. The reason I didn't is because I knew the background was going to be a really dark color, so I didn't know if sketching would show up on it, because I don't paint very often. So this is the order I did it in. But I just went in and filled in her hair and her body, and just went in and added some detailing lines. So this is the sketch right before I start on the actual background of the painting. And then for the actual background, I'm going to use this really big brush and start with a pretty dark blue. And then I will be layering in other colors, but the biggest thing was I was trying to keep my brush strokes in a circular motion around Rapunzel herself. So I tried not to go up and down or side to side, but keep kind of a curved motion to my brush. And then obviously I made sure to get the sides of the canvas. That's something I tend to forget, so I made sure to do it right away. And then with the blue paint still wet, I went in with pink and added some strokes of pink. I did try to blend them, but I also wanted them to remain pink, so this was kind of tricky to me. Again, I don't paint very often, so this was very trial error and just seeing what I liked and going from there. I did want to show you guys a close-up. This is what the brush strokes are looking like with just the pink and the blue at the moment. Next, I went in with a purple paint and just did the same stroke motion, but just adding in between those strokes of pink and blue to try to create more of an ombre effect. After I finished doing that, then I went in with a smaller brush and I filled in the dark blue color closer to the lines of Rapunzel. And then using the same small brush without cleaning it, I started to add in the purple and the pink closer to her and just try to blend those colors together to make it really match the background as best I could. And here is a close-up of what it looks like at this point. So next is her hair, and I went in with a golden yellow color. By the way, all of my paints are acrylic, and they're all from Walmart, and they all cost between 50 cents and $1. Nothing fancy. And I am just filling in all of the area of her hair. We are going to go in and shadow and highlight, but I wanted to put the base coat down first. After filling in her hair, I'm going to go in and clean up the edges. So I started with adding just a little bit more yellow and fullness to her hair. And then I took that darker blue again and went back in and outlined her a little bit more and added more dark blue back to the background. Don't ask me why. Again, guys, this was like a game of how do I like how it looks. Next, I went in with a very fine brush and a peach tone to fill in her skin. And I am going to give her a little bit of highlight and shadow and blush in a moment, but I just wanted to get the base down first. So filling in her chest and the edge of her shoulders and her face. Next was painting in her dress. I did mix a purple and pink together. It was the same purple and pink that I used on the background. I just did 50-50 and made kind of a lighter lavender colored purple for her dress. Then I tried to use that same color on her lips, but it was a little bit too purple, so I added more pink into it and shaded in her lips to make them a little bit more of a mauve tone. Next, I'm going in and doing another layer of the peach tone on her skin. I am using a very fine brush at first to get the lines correct, so I'm going horizontal on her jawline and just around her eye, just trying to follow the lines of her face. This will help later when I'm highlighting and shadowing, at least in my opinion it does. And then I'm going to go in with a little bit of a larger brush and really fill in just to make sure none of the canvas is poking through. I'm going into highlight now, and I'm using this lighter peachy tone. This one was a little bit more neutral based, whereas the other one was a little bit warmer. And I am highlighting the bridge of her nose, the top of her cheekbones, just anywhere where you think the light would hit a little bit harder on the face. It's the same concept as highlighting and contouring in makeup. So just kind of taking my time and blending it really well. I am doing this while the base coat is still wet because it helps the colors blend and not be so ridiculously bright on the skin.
Next, I'm going to change gears and go back to the hair because the first coat that I did has dried, and so I'm going to go in and further paint it yellow just to clean up those edge lines and make sure that none of the dark blue is overlapping too much, or that the back of the base of the canvas isn't poking through the color. I do want to point out the brush strokes for the hair. I'm trying to do them in small curved motions to give the hair some movement so it doesn't look flat or like it's painted. I'm trying to give it more of a, you know, swooshy hair type of quality. So I'm trying to give it a flow by doing circular strokes instead of just straight up and down vertical strokes. And then just blending it as I'm going. Going in with that same color of yellow but a smaller brush, I'm going to do those same type of circular motions. I'm just trying to add different sizes of brush strokes so that it adds variation into the hair. We are going to add a lighter shade of yellow in just a moment. So with this second coat still wet, I got a lighter color of yellow. I know that this color is called Daffodil. I remember it. And it is, again, just apple barrel acrylic paint from Walmart. But using that same smaller brush that I was using earlier, I'm going to add some highlights into her hair. And again, just trying to think of where is the light hitting her hair and where would it be more reflective, if you will, to add in those highlights and those lighter parts of her hair. I am still trying to do those circular motions and blend as I go. Side note, if you are not already following me on Instagram, please do. Also TikTok and all the other social medias. I like to post different kinds of stuff on there, whether it's DIYs or Disney bounds or just stuff with my family, usually involving Disney in some way. Going back to the face, I am going to start on her eye. Now Rapunzel has green eyes, so I was really excited. I love painting green eyes. And I'm starting with a base of just a true green, just a very leaf-like green, and a very teeny tiny detail brush, leaving her pupil blank for now. Then I'm going to go in with a lighter shade of green and add some detailing. I'm just trying to do kind of a ring around where her pupil is going to be. And then the final step is that I took some gold metallic paint and I actually did a ring around her pupil with that. I have a little bit of a yellow golden ring around my pupil, so I thought it was kind of a cool detail to add into this painting. And then just blending it into her eye color to make it look a little bit less artificial. Now returning to the idea of highlighting and shadowing her face, I'm just trying to carefully go in and blend it with my finger because I was having trouble getting this highlight to not look completely artificial, and it just took a lot of patience, guys. It was trial and error, to be honest. Now for her eyes, I went in with a tan brown. It is a very, very, very light brown, and I'm just using that to outline her lash line on the top and the bottom. And this is just to make her eyes look more like they're inset into her head as opposed to just sitting on top of her face on the canvas. Now going in with just a little bit more of that tan color, just adding to it and just slowly blending it out. Using that same brush, I took a dark chocolate brown, and I am just very carefully trying to blend this in. I did not take very much paint on it at all because I wanted her eyelashes to look natural, and I am just filling them in, trying to keep them in the direction that they would naturally be going, and then adding little wispy eyelashes on the bottom. I did want to go in with a little bit of white paint and just brighten her eyes back up and really define the line between her eyeball and her face. So I am doing this on the outer corner and the inner corner from this perspective. And then very, very carefully, I'm adding a teeny bit of white into the green of her eyes. And then taking a black paint pen, I'm going to fill in her pupil. And then I will take a little bit of white on a very fine detail brush and add a little sparkle to her eyes. Next, I'm going to pick up the color that I used to define her lips and just further define them a little bit, clean up the line between her lip and her face. And then unfortunately I felt like I smudged it too much, so I had to go back in with the base of her skin tone and clean up the top of her lips. And then making a very slightly lighter version of the lip color, I am going to go in and add a little bit of highlight to her lips to make them look pouty and more 3D on her face. I am going to speed this up though because this took a little while. Going back to her hair, I'm just going to fill in the hair right in front of her ear with that yellow and define the lines a little bit better. And also add some darker streaks back into the highlights because they were a little bit too prominent for my liking. If your paint has already dried down and you can't really subdue the highlights, you can always add more in because that's what I did. So I did take a very small brush and I just added some more highlights to the top of her hair. Next, I'm going to add a shadow to her collarbone. As you can see, I already did so along her neckline, but I did think that this would give her a little bit more of a realistic look to give her a collarbone, and then just kind of blend it in with my finger to make sure it's not too prominent. But as you can see here, the shadowing went in pretty good, so I shadowed under her chin and her ears and her neck. And next, I decided to give her an eyebrow because, you know, people have those. And I did use a chocolate brown color because she has brown eyebrows in the movie. I also went in and very, very carefully added a line for her lid, just trying to give her eyes a little bit more realistic look and a little bit more detail. Okay, taking a break from painting for a little while, I got some pink embroidery thread and an embroidery needle, and I'm actually going to embroider the lacing on her corset part of her dress. So I am out of frame here, I'm so sorry you guys, but I'm just poking up through the canvas and then doing little crisscrossy pattern with the embroidery thread. It's actually pretty easy to do this on a canvas, especially if you have a nice sharp embroidery needle. But I liked the idea of adding some different texture, especially since this is supposed to be mixed media and not just a painting. So that is how I'm going to do the detailing. Now, I will tell you guys, I tried so desperately hard to cut the string and then to tie it into a bow that looked normal and not weird, because I thought it would be cool to have a 3D bow where the strings hung down, but I gave up. It was not worth it. Not worth the effort, not worth the time. I abandoned it, tied a knot, and called it a day. To add another texture, I'm using this white braided trim across the top of her corset, and I'm just going to hot glue this on. For the next piece of detailing, I decided to do more embroidery, and originally I went in and sketched in lines with my pencil, but truthfully this is so unnecessary, you don't need to do that. I just grabbed some yellow embroidery and embroidery thread and that same needle, and I'm just going to do a straight stitch and put in some patterns in her hair. I am going to show you guys the first one, but I'm not going to do more than that just because it's the exact same method, and it's going to depend on your painting where you want to put them. But I'm actually back stitching. I know I said straight stitching earlier. I'm so sorry, guys. I'm back stitching an embroidery line into her hair. I just liked the extra texture that the embroidery thread brought to this. And then once you're done, just flip the canvas over, tie off a knot, and then cut off the excess. Looks kind of nice. So after I put in a few more lines with the yellow embroidery thread, I'm taking these beautiful 3D flower stickers from Dollar Tree. I've had these in my stash for a little while, and I just needed the right project for them, and I decided this was the right project. These have a pretty good stickiness to them, so I had to kind of be careful while I was laying them out because they would get pretty well stuck to the canvas. But I did try several different layouts with these before landing on exactly where I wanted each one to go and then hot gluing them down. Okay, we're almost done. I did forget to paint something, which I'm going to show you guys in just a minute. But before I do that, I also had this really pretty gold, I don't know what this is called. It's definitely like a sticker, but it's in the sticker section at Dollar Tree, and it just comes in these strips of jeweled trim. And I did just stick this along the edges of the canvas. I didn't end up having to hot glue these down, but it just kind of depends on the stickiness of your stickers. I liked that this gave it kind of an edging and a finalized look as opposed to just an unfinished canvas. So yeah, just a nice little detail. At this point, I thought that I was done, and then as I was filming this clip right here, I realized that I never put in the slashing and puffing into her sleeve, and that really, really bothered me. So I did pull out the pink paint again, and then I'm just going to add the little slashes in her sleeve that we see in the movie. So there was no rocket science to this. I did try to do them as very elongated, sharp oval shapes, and I tried to follow the curve of the sleeve as best I could, but it was a little bit tricky to get right. After putting in the pink, I went back in with the base of that lavender purple color of her dress and outlined them to make it look like the pink was behind the purple as best I could. And then I did add another layer of pink on top because I wanted it to pop just a little bit more than it was. Here is a close-up of the sleeve. So this is what the final product looked like, and my daughter's room is Rapunzel themed or Tangled themed, so I did take it up there and add it to her room. I tried it in a couple different places, but I really do love how it came out, and I felt pretty proud of myself because, guys, I'm not a painter. Like, I don't paint very often, so I was pretty happy with how this came out. Side note, as I zoom out to the right side of the screen, you'll see a painting of 2 flowers, and my grandmother painted that, so that's nice.
Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate you making it all the way through to the end of this video. Please give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and leave me a comment below for any suggestions of future videos, especially if they have something to do with mixed media, because I am really excited to maybe do a few more of these in the future. And be sure to head over to Jessie's channel and check out her video. I will see you guys in my next one. Bye.